traveled from the past.
Sorry.
Why are you laughing?
No, keep going. This is the last thing I expected. Sorry, go on.
If you could have told me in 2020 you're going to start a podcast with your best friend Kyle, and that's you.
That's me, by the way. Hey, guys.
And you're going to take a hiatus from that podcast for like 3 years, and you're going to come back in the year of our Lord 2026, I would say, you're bald now?
Wait, you weren't bald before, were you?
I was not bald before.
I forgot. You've been bald for long enough now. I forgot.
This is Milk and Screams.
Hey, what up?
We're back with more Milk and Screams.
With more.
It's not over.
Mas leche y mas.
I don't know what yelling is in Spanish.
I don't either, and I don't want to do like the Spanglish thing and just add an O at the end.
No, that seems a derivative. We shouldn't be doing that. That's the old Milk and Screams. That's season 1. We're in season 2 now, and
this is a season. Oh, that's why, because we're like a Netflix show.
Yeah,
you put out some really good content for 42 episodes.
Yep,
and then you do nothing for 4 years.
And we've been hard at work. We've been hard at work.
We've been cooking up some great ideas.
Agreed. And
for sure.
On a real note, how many times do you think we've kicked back and forth the idea of just starting up the podcast again?
How do you want that measured? In amount of times?
Amount of times. At least a dozen.
I was going to say between 12 and 30.
Yeah.
Or between 10 and 30. 12 was a dumb number for me to just jump on. Between 10 and 30.
I think that's pretty accurate.
Because it's been 4 years, right? I know you said 3. I'm pretty sure it's been 4. Because I moved out in 2022, and we only did like a couple after I moved out.
Yeah, so it'd been 4 years.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Kind of wild.
Yeah. So let's start with why we want to try doing Milk and Screams again.
Because it's fun. Next question.
That's a good answer. And you know what? I like that answer. Let's move on. And
I thought you were gonna have more.
well, I think I definitely miss doing it. I feel like we still do it. We just don't ever turn on microphones.
Dude,
you know?
That's why it comes up so often. When I was talking about between 10 and 30. It's because half the time we'll talk for like an hour and a half about something. I don't know, something very stupid, but like funny. And then we'll get to the end of it and we'll be like, man, if we had microphones,
we could make that in an episode. All we gotta do is set the mics next time, and now we actually are doing it.
But this time we did a good job, because the thing we've been wanting to talk about, we strictly have not spoken about yet. But before we get to that, we have to talk about my appliances. Okay, we were doing some test stuff just a little bit ago to make sure that our sounds were right, and he looked over at my oven and my microwave and my convection oven, and he was like, hey, how come all 3 of those have different times? And knowing me, that's a fair question. I set everything to the same time to make sure everything's the same. Here's the problem. I have a real pet peeve with things that suck.
Okay.
And these 3 things all suck tremendously.
Really?
I have not gone and figured out which of these has the correct 60-second increment on them. But every time these clocks get reset, I reset them all at the exact same time. I have them all ready to hit the correct time, and then when it gets to the correct time, I hit all 3 buttons at the same time. The microwave is like a second behind because I got to like double up.
Sure.
But they're all the same. And then not even 2 weeks will go by, and one of them will be a full minute behind the other one. A full 60 seconds behind the other one. I reset those clocks a week and a half ago.
See, I wonder now how much this would bother you if you just let them be and see how much time dilation would go by.
I can't, dude. The longest I've let it go was like a month, and they were like 2 minutes off, and for like 12 seconds, 2 of them would be 3 minutes away from each other, and it bothers me way too much to let it go.
I'm kind of like the exact opposite when it comes to the times. Like, it doesn't bother me that much, so much so that like the microwave time and the oven time, because like they're both like right on top of each other. Mm-hmm. I just don't look at the microwave time because I know it's not accurate. I just look at the oven time.
Yeah, I know you don't look at the microwave time because 4 weeks after you moved into your house, your microwave time still was not set. I had to set it for you. Like the 3rd time that I came over, I was like, you haven't done this yet? This is your right as a homeowner and a man to do this yourself. You forfeited that right. a month in, and I just did it for you because it was really bothering me every time I went over there, and I said nothing.
Wait, well, no, you probably said something.
Let the people think that I'm like more
Dignified.
noble and dignified than that. I didn't say anything. God.
You definitely didn't throw a temper tantrum in my house.
Don't even know the meaning of the word.
Yeah. Who knows the meaning of words anymore?
What a great segue.
What a great segue. I'm a natural. What can I say? So I want to talk about the main reason why I have been pushing hard to bring the podcast back in 2026. It's because of an interaction that we had at a Christmas party in 2025. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. I'm letting you talk.
I mean,
I'm dignified, remember? We just went over that.
You got a point. We went to a Christmas party together for a mutual friend, David.
Whose birthday is today, by the way.
Shut up.
Today, July 6th. Happy birthday, David. I texted him earlier. Make sure you text him.
I will text him. I had no idea it was his birthday.
Shout out, David. He's probably going to be one of the people that listens to this because we're going to tell him.
That's crazy coincidence. Wow.
I forgot to tell you that when you walked in earlier, so I'm telling you now.
I'll let him know on the podcast and over text. Happy birthday, David. Anyways, long story short, someone who basically not a stranger to us, but basically all but a stranger to us. You know, someone we haven't thought about in years brought up the podcast to us.
This is not David that he's talking about now, by the way. This is a separate person.
This was a guest at the party. The only reason I'm not saying their names is because I don't remember their name, unfortunately.
Kelly.
Why didn't I remember her name?
That's okay.
You've
met her 1.5 times.
1.5 times. Kelly. Very, very nice interaction that we had. And she just brought up the podcast out of nowhere. And I was flabbergasted that she even remembered who we were. And that made me really want to come back and just do it for the 40 people who ever wanted to listen to this podcast. And I really miss doing it in general. So I started brainstorming just normal ideas that we would do for a podcast. And that seemed all fine and dandy. But Kyle and I both kind of separately, Kyle's always been more into this than me, but recently I have started reading books. And I like reading books now. I feel like 2020 me would have laughed if I ever said that I was reading books.
Hey, smart people read books.
Really? So you're saying I'm smart?
You can't be smart if you don't read books. They are mutually exclusive.
But I feel like dumb people can read dumb people books that make them more dumb.
That's true.
So
reading does not make you smart. But if you are smart, you must be someone who reads. Kind of a square and a rectangle situation.
Okay.
You're not inherently smart just because you read. But
can you be smart without reading books? Do you think that's not true at all? Like what if someone because there was a time
I'm half joking, but kind of half not.
There was a time before written language. So like, was there a cap on intelligence before reading became commonplace? Because a lot of stuff was just orated.
There was a cap on how widespread intelligence could be.
Oh, certainly, yes.
Or how widespread knowledge could be itself. But I'm only half joking, but like I know, like, I have this coworker who I simply will not be sending this to, specifically because I'm going to call him out right now, who is like so fully against reading. It's hilarious. It bores him to death, which is fine.
Sure.
But on the flip side of that, he is like, he's argumentative the way I am, where like, he's going to be right by the end of it, but he's so bad at it because he has no idea how to get his point across. And I think a small reason why is that he's not aware of how other people or authors get a point across. He's only aware of how he gets a point across. And so he has no way to like be better at making a point of any kind.
That's a eloquent point, Kyle. Well said.
I have a theory also about reading that
me.
relates to this coworker, and I want to know if you agree, because I don't think I've asked you this.
Sure.
There is, I don't think the word is affliction, but some people, when they read, like if you say the word apple, some people can like, they close their eyes and they can envision like they see the apple, right? They see something red with like white specks because the light is hitting it in a bowl on a kitchen counter, whatever, and they see the leaf. And some people can see like just the vaguest like outline of what you're talking about. And some people are just like, they know that you said apple. They know that we're talking about an apple. They can't see anything in their brain. They don't have a way. I forget. There's a word for it of people who can't see a visual in their head. They just like understand what's being talked about, what's being explained to them, and just they.
Is that called kinesthetic learning? Is that what the word is?
Let me look because there's a.
But I do know what you're talking about.
Hold on. And how do I even put this in? Seeing an apple in your imagination. Graphic. What is this called? Aphantasia. That's what I wanted. That was the word that was in my mind, but then I thought that was the word I was hearing Cynthia Erivo say, when she was talking about seeing colors with music.
It's probably similar.
And I was like, I don't think that's the right word. But yeah, aphantasia, where people like they don't see it. They just like know that we're talking about. So my question to you is, where do you fall on that spectrum? Closer to like you can see it in your mind's eye while you're reading, you see the image of what you pictured, or something like just like what was said to you?
The furthest towards the creative side is what I don't think there's another person on earth who can picture things in their mind more than me. That's how far on that scale. Think IMAX movie screen levels of detail. That is what is happening when I'm reading. That's why reading nonfiction to me sometimes is really grating, because I have trouble playing a movie in my brain when I'm reading nonfiction.
Right, because it's just information being thrown at you.
A lot of times. Sometimes it's historical, so I can place myself in that kind of a thing. But like, if there's not like, if it's not overly interesting or something I can think about or like pontificate, it's really hard. But yes, I am so vivid when I'm reading fiction. It's right in the forefront of my brain.
I'm also on the same side of the scale as you.
Excuse me.
Bless you and God bless America. Go America versus Belgium today. Woohoo. I'm also like way on that side of the spectrum where it's like I was rethinking about the things I read in the series we're going to talk about today, and I can see in my head the things that I saw when I was reading it the first time. Like I see the exact image that I conjured the first time because it's like recalling the movie that I watched.
Exactly.
This coworker of mine can't see a thing in his head.
I don't know why I'm sneezing so much.
We should have had a sneeze break before we hit record.
Well, we did like 5 mic
I forgot
tests.
to put you in the sneeze box before we started.
Let me blow my nose real quick.
Yeah. Everyone hold tight. I have no way to mute that. Just so everyone knows. Actually, that wasn't inherently true. You're the one that I can mute. Well, now we know. I forgot I had that button over here.
Okay.
He can't see anything, this coworker of mine, in his brain. When he's like, you say anything to him, he's like, because I used the apple example with him, and he was like, no, like, I know you said apple, and like, I kind of see the word apple in my head, but that's really it. So my theory is that anyone who doesn't like reading, with obvious exceptions to either side of the scale, people who don't like reading, I think it is more likely that they are on the side of the scale where they can't see anything in their head when they're being told something or, or reading something. There's nothing like happening in their brain of like seeing the image that's being painted. They're just like, oh, I know the words that were said to me. I get it. And then they move on and they have no they can't play the movie in their head, so to speak.
My view on reading has changed a lot since I started reading. And I think we can talk about this a little bit more, and then we'll start. Basically, we're trying to turn, or maybe we're testing out if we can maybe take the podcast into like a book club kind of route, where we both read kind of similar books and talk about them on the podcast. That's the idea. All right, we're gonna see if it works. We're just playing around with it right now. But my thoughts on reading is that reading should be somewhat painful.
No, that's crazy.
It should be somewhat hard. It should be somewhat challenging. It should be like working out. I'm not saying they cause the same amount of effort, but I think if you're not reading things that challenge you as a reader, you won't want to read more. Just like working out. like there's a level obviously to where like if you try and bench 300 pounds straight out of the gate, you're not going to succeed and you probably won't ever want to do it again.
Sure.
But like,
but what is the level of? Because I so far completely disagree with you.
Okay.
But I'm wondering what
I'll give this as an example, right? Today I had my nephew at my house. I watched him this morning, and my sister wanted him to read for 30 minutes. I also needed to read a book today, and I've been trying to start this book for a couple of days, been busy. So already I was struggling to set aside time to read. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that how often today just normal people find downtime to be, I mean, I'm going to sound like a boomer, on their phone or playing a game, or even just absentmindedly doing nothing like watching a YouTube video or whatever, when instead the corrective, like something that would challenge you, more stimulate your brain, not stimulate, not in the way that like dopamine would be, but like make you think, challenge and challenge the way you think about the world, or entertain you in a different way and keep your focus locked in. Most people just can't do that. And I couldn't do that. I had to literally work on my attention span over years to make that so. And I took that challenge and I overcame it. A lot of people just don't want to do that.
I mean, I guess if you're making the point that reading should be painful, and you're making that point to people that don't already read, then I agree with you. But as someone who loves to read, there's not a scenario where I'm like, oh, I want a book to be painful for me to read, because the only version of that is like a book that sucks, and I won't finish that book.
Painful is kind of the wrong word. Like, think about muscle soreness. But you do feel better after you work out. Like whenever you start to work out, you're like, man. Sometimes you're just like, man, I don't want to, or like I don't feel like it.
The motivation is the hardest part, like motivation to start.
Sure. And so like that was a huge part for me. I went years without reading a book, just years and years and years. And I would try and I would lose focus and like not ever get through it. And so like I really started working on my attention span and started working on setting aside time and getting through. I listened to audiobooks for a while, switched to, hardback, paperback, real books, quote unquote. And I'm happy to say like my attention span's gotten better and that I enjoy reading a lot now, but that wasn't the start of my journey. It was a long process to get to that point. Just like working out, I think people don't even think twice about it now. Some people, when they go to the gym, it's just part of their daily routine. They will always do it and they don't think about it.
Right.
Whereas when they started that process, it was not that way. So I think reading can be looked at similarly as far as someone who was a non-reader for a long time. I see your
point as saying it to someone who is not currently a reader and maybe has always wanted to like try to read. I do get what you're saying.
It's unlike other hobbies, or maybe not unlike other hobbies. It's unlike other things that we do with our free time. Whereas it's just very easy to just like find a comfort show to watch instead of read.
I think. See, to me though. Because people always say that too. Because I, especially the last 3, maybe even 4 years, I've been reading so much the last 3 and 4 years, especially this year. But so I always talk about like, whatever new book I'm reading, whatever. And someone is always has the point of how, it's not as easy to like start because of the other things they can do. Mm-hmm. And some of those things are like, playing some video game or watching TV or whatever, which are things that I also love to do. But my argument is that of all the hobbies that exist, it is the easiest one to start, because you just have to get a book. You don't have to like go outside and like learn some new sport or pick up a weight or anything. You literally have to turn like a couple pages to where chapter 1 starts and then just kind of like go. You know what I mean? You can be on your couch, the same spot you would be if you were watching that TV show or scrolling on your phone. You could be the exact same spot you're already going to be for an hour.
I just think that it's harder, and as someone who struggled with the attention span part of it, like your phone being at arm's reach is something that's more easily going to give you the dopamine rather than like something that's going to like over time give you a steady drip of dopamine. If that makes sense, like microwave dopamine versus oven dopamine.
It definitely takes time to like be able to ignore the like those quote unquote easy things. to do. It sounds like we're talking about a drug addiction.
Well, all these things are just our brain seeking joy.
That's fair.
Like that's all it is. Like that's everything, and that's addictions from. I mean, we're gonna get into the weeds now, but that's addictions from like sex and drugs to food to and to your hobbies and the things you enjoy, or spending time with your family or whatever. Like if your brain is not giving you the proper reinforcement to keep doing those things, you will try and steer away from them. So all I'm trying to say is I am pretty proud that I don't feel like I'm wasting so much time anymore, partly because I'm spending my time reading. So hopefully we can encourage some of the people in our lives to pick up a couple of good books, and we can start talking about them on the podcast and highly recommend people to go and read them.
And I have one more question for you.
Yeah,
we start.
sure. Go ahead.
Because I had this conversation at church yesterday with someone on my worship team. Do audiobooks count as reading? And or if they do count as reading, is there a caveat to when they no longer count as reading?
My answer to this question is yes. And this actually kind of crazily goes full circle to what we were talking about earlier with
the clocks.
The clocks?
Not the clocks. What are we full circling to?
We're full circling to the limits of knowledge we were talking about earlier with like the oration versus reading. And
yeah, sure.
Like there was a time before the printed word when things were orated, and those people got the message without it being written down. Think the times of Plato, Socrates, and even before literacy was commonplace in the church, you had to hear the priest,
sure,
preach to you, and you still got those messages. You still heard, and all over the world that was the case. I think audiobooks are kind of an extension of that, and there actually is some credence to audiobooks counting as reading as far as this discourse is concerned. John Green, the author, posted a video. I highly recommend watching it because I think there was a little bit of insecurity whenever I was a sole audiobook guy, when I was having trouble focusing, and I basically would just listen to audiobooks in the car to get my wheels turning. And he was like, if you listen to that audiobook, you read it. And funnily enough, there's another video that John Green talks about aphantasia and how he is a well-known, prolific author, and he cannot see the apple as far as our analogy goes.
Right.
Cannot see it, which fascinates me. I don't know how you set a scene and in your brain think this person will be talking to this person in this scene and not picture the apple.
I wonder if he has to draw it on a storyboard.
Maybe, I don't know, or maybe he just doesn't need to. It just knows it will. He knows that the person reading will set that scene for themselves. Right. And I'm also fascinated just by how authors can have their own vision for things and how things will appear, and their audience has a completely different interpretation. I think it just fascinates me.
Yeah,
I love seeing artwork of different series and things.
Brandon Sanderson has a really good talk where he's talking about like when people have a view of a character in their brain, like while even reading, and like they forgot the detail of their hair color that was said in the first book very quickly, and so they picture them this one way, and they see some fan art, and it's like, oh, they look so different than I thought. And Brandon Sanderson is like, you read the words on the page, and you read the story, and you had an image of what that story looked like, so you are correct.
Yeah. And
however you viewed the story as you were reading it, you read all the words that were necessary for you to understand the story. So however you viewed it, you're correct. It looked that way.
Sure.
Because you were the audience it was intended for. So whatever you saw, you're right.
So to answer your question, I do think audiobooks count as reading. I am probably intensely biased on this position. I'm not afraid to admit that. I just don't see the argument for other than you didn't open the book.
Right.
Like your eyes did not cross the words on the page. And as someone who does both regularly, I think they both register the same to me.
Right. I think the only argument people have is that like reading the physical thing, you have to obviously specifically set aside the time to do that. An audiobook, for the most part, is usually done while also doing something else.
Yeah.
And so it's
more passive.
It doesn't happen, quote unquote, in the background, because it's usually still usually the main thing you're focusing on top of whatever else it is that you're doing. But because it's not like the sole thing you're doing and it's not getting 100% of your divided attention, then it doesn't count. That's the argument.
There are people who do both, by the way, who read them at the same time.
That's crazy to me.
I think the people like there's this guy I follow on TikTok who talked about audiobooks versus books, who will sometimes pick up both copies, the audio version and the physical version, and play the audio version on like 5 times speed and like blitz through it like that. Like I've never seen anything like it. But
So this is my caveat: is that with audiobooks, if you are listening to it faster than 2 times speed, I don't count. I don't count this.
I don't listen to it faster than 2 times speed, but I do listen to it sped up because sometimes these authors.
I think sped up is fine because I definitely read faster because I've listened to quite a few audiobooks myself, and I definitely read faster than the way a lot of narrators narrate their audiobooks. So I don't really mind being sped up, but anything more than 2 is just like
it's just gibberish.
It's gibberish, and you're just like relying on like the recesses of your brain to capture some of the information you didn't really retain there in the moment because like there's no way.
Especially when it comes to poetry, when poetry's like in time, like it's important.
Like you're getting the information in. Sure, I don't count it as like I read this book this year. It took me 40 minutes.
Yeah,
for this 80,000 word book. Nuh-uh, it didn't.
I agree. I definitely agree with that.
Now, speaking of books, as we have been this whole time, we got to talk about Red Rising. That's why we're here. Folks, you probably saw the title because I'm probably going to name it something about Red Rising and books and the fact that we're back in the first place.
Woo!
Woo. Now, this, we didn't read all 6 books that are currently out because the 7th hasn't come out yet. This just concerns the original trilogy, Red Rising, Golden Sun, Morning Star.
I assume you plan on reading the next books.
I have the 3 that are already out.
You have already read them?
I own them. I haven't read them yet. I'm going to read them when Red God comes out because that's supposed to come out later this year.
Okay.
It's supposed to come out in like October, I think is the... I don't think anyone technically knows yet. I don't think it's had a set date yet, but I think that's the thought. So I haven't read them yet, but I have them so that when we have knowledge of when that's going to come out, I can read it right up to the point of Red God coming out, and I can go buy Red God and I can read it, and then I'll have it all in because I'm very excited to read it. Because I've also heard that they're very, very good.
I've kind of heard mixed things on the subsequent series, but personally, I'm very happy and complete with how the story ended in the 3rd book.
Right.
There's 3 books that we're going to be talking about, the first 3. And I kind of feel like this author could have just written another series not concerning this main one, but that's neither here nor there. He did it, so
yeah. And like I said, a lot of people love it. I'm sure there are people that didn't like it as much. But So, Red Rising, Pierce Brown. Now, I thought, because this has been getting a lot of traction the last 2 years, mainly because I've now found of this, sequel series that got written, the next 4 books. But I just assumed it was very recent that this original trilogy was written. But the 3rd book of these 3 came out in like 2016. Yeah.
This was right around the time that the Hunger Games like fever was going on, like right around that, like revolutionary, revolutionary media was just everywhere, abundant.
And the first book in the series is very Hunger Gamesy. So it draws a lot of comparisons.
It's kind of like a more adult version, I guess you could say, like in terms of just how debased it is. But I mean, what do you think? Do you think we should kind of like summarize plot, like, or should we talk about what like things we enjoyed about the book?
I think we can at least do. Let's just start summarizing. What are we at right now? 29.
Like 30 minutes, yeah.
We can at least summarize
the premise.
The premise at the very least, and then we'll kind of figure out where we want to go from there.
Okay. Premise of the book. The book follows Darrow in a heavily caste-centric society. It's set in space, in our solar system, hundreds of years in the future. Darrow finds himself at the very bottom caste, in the very lowest portion of that caste. And he's a red. He's considered the red caste or class, whatever you want to call it. I think caste is probably a good word, a good descriptor. And through a series of circumstances, is plotting his own revenge, basically. Not his own revenge, but revenge is his primary motivator to infiltrate the highest caste as a, genetically modified, Superman-esque, human. Like the Golds literally have like Herculean strength and like incredible abilities, which is why they're able to subjugate and rule with impunity. So like he basically through this rebellion gets shunted into the gold caste and is trying to infiltrate and win a rebellion against them and take over, basically.
Yeah, basically to create equality, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Yes. There's like the thing that's interesting is that there is a bunch of conflicting narratives, like not conflicting narratives, but conflicting motivations.
Mhm.
Like the rebellion sees Darrow as like this messianic figure almost, where like he can be the one to actually infiltrate and get us some good insider information and get the trust of these people and then betray them. Whereas Darrow, yes, he wants to help the rebellion and lead to a better, more equitable life for all the people in the solar system, but also wants personal revenge for the killing of his wife.
Yeah.
His wife.
Okay. So specifics of the first book. So he's a Red. He lives on Mars. He's basically underneath the surface of Mars because he and all his people are mining a substance called helium-3, which is pivotal so that Mars can become inhabitable for colonization, so that other life forms other than themselves can be sent here to live on Mars. Great. Yada, yada, yada. He and his wife go to like this room that kind of has a view of this barren part of the surface of Mars, and they get caught doing it, being somewhere they're not supposed to be, and they get ordered to be whipped. They get whipped, and while they're being whipped, Ao, his wife, sings this song that's banned. There's certain songs and dances that are not allowed to happen because they incite, they reference rebellion and
it's a rebellion
and treason
song.
and so she's ordered to be hanged. And this was one of the first things, because this happens relatively early on in the book.
Yeah.
Where she's ordered to be hanged, and because the gravity is so low on Mars, they get the rope around their neck, they drop. Someone has to come pull on their feet to finish killing the person, because the gravity's too low that they can't actually die just hanging there.
Yeah, or they'll die really, really slowly.
Right.
So it's the person who loves you most.
That happens relatively early on in the book. I remember reading that and being like, "Oh, this book is gonna do so many bad things to so many good people."
Yeah. So like that's like the what's the word?
Like the catalyst.
Well, it's the catalyst, but it's like the setter for like the mood of the book. It is very dark.
It does set the tone very early on.
Yeah,
of
the tone
like
setter.
Anyone's like, because like at the beginning you got Darrow and his family and his wife Ao, and it's like these are your main characters for now, right? Here's his mom, here's his brother Kieran, his wife Ao, her sister Dio, and then 50 pages later, his wife dies, and you're like, oh, so these are not the main characters. Never mind.
Is Darrow gonna die? He almost dies like 9 times throughout the series. Like spoiler alert, this guy is plot armor.
So bad, it's ridiculous.
Like crazy.
But like okay, so she dies, and then you're not allowed to bury your loved ones because it's like too dignified, and so but he subverts this and he goes and buries her anyway, and I believe this is the reason he's caught, and then he's also ordered to be hanged.
Yes,
for his treason. And all of this, Ao is telling Darrow, "Hey, this sucks. We're slaves, and this is not an equal society. And I wish for a better society." Like,
yeah, Ao is like a spark for the rebellion, kind of.
Yeah.
Like what's the word I'm looking for? Like she's kind of like, isn't there a girl who gets killed like in the Hunger Games like early on?
So, I mean, like Rue gets killed in the Hunger Games, but she's already in the Hunger Games. So like,
I don't know, but it's very much she's very much a symbol, and not like she had ever intended to be by just singing her song, but she's a symbol throughout the entire solar system. Like the video of her hanging gets played everywhere, and she is the biggest inspiration for Darrow's motivations, like through the entire story. Like he wants to avenge her and give her her dream.
Right. So he's ordered to be hanged for the thing he did. So he's hanged, but his uncle has a drink with him before he's carted off to be hung. And then Darrow wakes up because he didn't actually die when he was hanged, because he was given some agent by his uncle to make it look like he was still alive. And Darrow just wants to be dead so he can go be with his wife who just died.
Yeah.
Well, then yada yada, he meets the son of Ares. Ares from the Sons of Ares, who's like leading the rebellion and already bombing a bunch of golds, to tell Darrow that Mars is already colonized. There's people there. There's golds and grays and pinks and obsidians and all the classes they already have colonized, and all the moons and other planets. Also, people live in there.
Yeah.
They just keep them down there in the dark to mine helium-3 because it's still a necessary thing to be mined. They still need that substance, but they don't tell the people that are living underneath the surface that their work to have the rest of the planet and solar system colonized is already done. They're not aware that they could, leave anywhere else.
Yeah, there's a veil that's presented. It's very like Black Mirror-esque. I will say also, the thing I like about this series in general, particularly in the first book, is how much allegory there is between the real world versus this very fictional world. Like how, how lynchings take place, like or have taken place in the past, and how the law is treated versus people and certain other people, how sex work is treated, and like it's all very like, it seems fantastical enough, but it also is rooted in reality if if you're able to perceive the world.
Yeah.
So like I feel like for people who will read this book, they will read about, pinks being cybernetically engineered to be perfect, compliant sex slaves for the upper class, and not think anything of it. And we're like, yeah, that's super cyberpunk. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
And not think about the real life ramifications of this was years ago now, but there were still, people getting obscene plastic surgery, or even the sex slave market just in general in and amongst the world, like how people are getting plastic surgery and those kinds of things against their will to make them appear younger. Anyways, I could just go on and on.
So let all of that serve as the premise precursor to you if you decide that you want to read this trilogy. They've been kept in the dark. He gets put up, and he's like, you know what? I want to help you take down this class of people that didn't tell us that we've been basically slaves this whole time. Get me in there, infiltrate me in, and I will help do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
To tear this apart and end things of just the basic premise with some light spoilers at the beginning of the first book. Everything from here on out will be details of all the things that happen in the book. So if you want to read all of this, turn this off.
Because we have not talked about Red Rising since we both read it. Because we both read it. We both started reading it roughly the same time.
And I finished so long ago.
Kyle finished so much longer ago than I did.
Let me tell you when I finished.
But I purposely kept it for this podcast so we could actually just kind of talk about,
Yeah, today is July 6th. I finished Morningstar beginning to middle of April.
Oh my gosh.
So it's been 3 months since I finished.
When did we get them?
Well, because I read Red Rising in March. And it was the only book I read in March because I was like gonna try to read at a similar pace as you so that we'd like finish at the same time. But then you were taking a little while, so I just kind of went ahead and read the second one, and then I was like, I really want to read. I got to read the third one because I can't read different books in the middle of a series. I have to just finish the series before I move on to something else.
Yeah.
So I just kind of finished.
My phone's over there. I don't know when I finished the series, but it was way more recent. I think I finished Morningstar in like mid-June, I think, I want to say.
That sounds right.
Um,
Yeah, I've read quite a bit since then, so I had to brush up a little bit, but I remember everything that happened.
so let's give baseline scores for the books.
Okay.
Red Rising.
Okay, I have a question. Before we score, I need a premise ramification. I need parameters. That's the word I wanted.
Yeah.
Out of what, and are decimals allowed?
I'm going to say 1 to 5 halves are allowed.
Okay, yeah. That's basically the same thing as out of 10.
1 to 5 halves are not allowed.
Okay, great. That's why I asked, because some people say
that's a good point.
Some people do like 4.5 out of 5, and I'm like, yeah, 9 out of 10.
That makes sense. You got a point. No halves.
Okay, no halves. No halves. I say Red Rising 4.
I say Red Rising is a 3 out of 10. Or 3 out of 5.
Oh.
3 out of 5, Red Rising. Good book.
It's so good. I want to give it a 4. Morning Star. Golden Sun. Sorry, Golden Sun is a 5.
5 out of 5.
And Morning Star is also a 5.
Morning Star is 5 out of 5. Red Rising for me was the hardest one to get through. Not hard as in like it was not entertaining. It's just a lot, and it's very derivative when you've read any other book about like a Hunger Games kind of thing, and it just kind of felt like it also didn't really feel that high fantasy outside of like the first half of the book where he's on Mars drilling for helium, and then he's like getting cybernetics, and like then he has to like kill someone to like get into the into like the Peerless Scarred group of people, and you're like, man, what are they gonna do? And then like they get set into like a medieval arena basically, like a gladiator arena, and you're like, oh, okay, well, are they gonna have like lasers and stuff? Not really. They kind of just use like archaic weapons. I mean, it's been months since I read this book, so I don't think they ever use like guns or like. No, they don't. They don't use pulse armor or any of that stuff during. They do have pulse armor, because some of the. And they do have razors, so I guess that. Yeah, they have razors, and obviously the Proctor has pulse armor, and they're able to get some off of Fitchner when they kidnap him, and then they actually literally storm Olympus. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Sure, that part I guess, but everything in the middle is all just like it doesn't seem very fanciful. Now, granted, the interrelational dynamics and the kind of like how you see Darrow manipulate people. That's why I love the book so much, because they're literally at school. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're at the institute. So they're at the institute, and they're just meant to like prove themselves to the proctors of like, this is going to be over. They'll be out of this institute, and we're going to take on some of these people who like show themselves as like capable of, handling leadership and real world, Peerless Scarred golden boy opportunity kind of thing. Sure. So for me, it was, I didn't really care that it wasn't like, the most science fiction high fantastical thing that it was, because you get a very clear picture of how natural a leader Darrow is. Like, it comes like so easily to him. Yeah. Like, obviously it takes some time at the very beginning because he's he's having to deal with 4 factions breaking out at his house, but like it's so easy for him to rally people together, like even from the Minerva house with Mustang and Pax, and it doesn't take long for him to just be like the guy that everyone's like, yeah, we follow that dude. Yeah, that part is cool to me. It's very much like, the dichotomy of it all is he does find humanity in these people who are deemed to not have humanity at all, right? Yeah. Like from his class looking up, it seems like these people are impenetrable and will never understand his plight. But he looks at them going through all this horrendous stuff in the institute, blood and gore, and trying to scrounge around for food, and doing all, they do some really weird, gross stuff in rape and all this horrible stuff to each other, and you're like, yeah, we're all just humans, and like I can work with this, like I can get in here and I can, and so, anyways, I do see what you mean. I think the book is probably more about trying to prove Darrow as a leader and trying to, but like,
And it obviously also sets the stakes for books 2 and 3. Obviously, him having to kill Julian and Cassius finding out that it was Darrow that killed his brother in the, right after they all got selected for their respective houses. And, obviously Cassius being one of the main enemies, antagonists throughout the rest of the series. Introducing Pax and his death makes me so sad.
Yeah.
Pax dies if you're still here for some reason.
Pax is dead. And
in book 1, I wanted so much more of him.
Yeah. I think you get enough of the Telemanuses, and I think that it does make sense for Pax to die there just because you have so many other Paxes, for lack of better terms, throughout the rest of the story. Like, there's tons of just big, brawly dudes to where I think if you had Pax there too, you just end up in like a weird like dick measuring contest kind of thing where like who is actually the biggest and the strongest when there is one clear biggest and strongest in the series. And so all that to say, I do think that book 1 is the weakest of the 3, and I think
I agree with that.
I don't think I'm going to renegotiate my score. I think 3 is just a good score for it. It's good, not great.
I think it's great, and I think 2 and 3 are phenomenal.
2 and 3 are phenomenal. I am 100% in agreement with you there. But this is also kind of like the start of why I have, or the issue I have with the overarching story, because there is some issues that I have with it, and that's the Jackal.
Oh, that's your problem with the overall dude.
It's not a problem. It's just
he's such a good character.
He's a good character. Okay.
He's so well written too.
And I think by the end of it, I'm like, I can see the vision for what they were going for. But while I'm reading it, I'm like, this is not compelling enough for me. Like, he's not enough of a threat to Darrow. I don't understand why. Like,
I had the exact opposite.
Like again, as I'm reading it and putting things together, I'm like, okay, no. Jackal really shouldn't be messed with. Or what? Or at some points, I'm like, what, Darrow? Why are you trusting the Jackal?
Mm-hmm.
And Darrow is trying to outsmart him because he also is a tactician as well. Like, he's not just, he's not just a leader. Like, he's also very intelligent and understands what he's trying to do. Anyways, but something else I got to add about just the difference between 1 and then 2 and 3 is just how much more interesting the warfare and the battling is in books 2 and 3 than it is in 1. The action.
No, for sure, yeah.
The action just gets better and better and better.
The setting of books 2 and 3 just obviously makes it so that the action that you get is so much better than it is in 1, which is obviously why 2 and 3 are better than 1.
Yeah.
But 1 sets a stage so well, in my opinion.
Yeah, but yeah, the Jackal for me, there were just parts that I just had trouble understanding. Why am I scared of this guy again? Like, why is he like, why, like why? And like, again, there's parts of the story where he's seemingly just an ally, like a normal ally who's just trying to help. And you're like, who's the villain here? Who are we actually fighting?
No, disagree.
And then obviously he just keeps backstabbing over and over and over again.
Because I think, again, I'm going to keep harping on it. I think book 1 sets the scene very well for you of who one of your main bads is because during all the nonsense, during their time of the Institute, when they're in their quote unquote Hunger Games mode, he, takes over. I think it's House Minerva that he's taking over, or no, is it? He's in House Pluto, but they're at a different house. Not Athena. That's
Julii.
I can't remember what house they take over, but whatever they go to, and the Jackal is there, and they, he's not aware that Darrow knows he's the Jackal, right? Darrow stabs his hand into the table, and he's like, I know you're the Jackal, and you're like, my main threat here. So the only way you're leaving is if you cut your own hand off. And then he literally cuts his own hand off and leaves. And you're like, all right, this is the crazy guy that we got to be worried about from here till the end of time.
Sure. I get that. I just know, like especially when you figure out, I'm skipping two books, tons of context, tons of back and forth, how Darrow kills him, like how he tricks him. It seems kind of like, oh, well, I could have seen that coming. Like it seems very like.
Well, we could have as the reader.
Sure, but I just think like it's the very end of the book is kind of. it feels like it's set up for a TV show, not a book. Like, again, I'm skipping all the way to the end. You have to forgive me because now I'm on the Jackal train, and I gotta finish this thought. But like, it's been a while since I read this book. They get captured on purpose, right?
Yes.
Because that's how Darrow is going to get into where the ultimate leader is with the Jackal and everything present. And like, Jackal cuts off Darrow's arm, just like he cuts off, Jackal's arm is the ultimate revenge and everything. And the whole time you think Severo is dead. We haven't even talked about Severo at all.
No, we'll
and
get
then
there.
like Severo is like, not dead the whole time, where he gets revived and helps in the battle. And like Cassius is, backstabbed him, but turns out he was always on your side. Like, it just feels like it was all those twists and turns were meant to be played out on screen, not read. Because you're reading it, you're just like, this is not how the book ends. I know that he doesn't just lose here. There's no way. And then like I've only got 50 pages left. Something has to happen. And so like you're just in this disbelief. Whereas
but that's for me. I love at the end of a book like that when you're doing that, because you're getting there and you're obviously trying to find out, 99 times out of 100 for whatever piece of fiction you're on about, the guy you've been reading about is going to come out on top.
Sure.
So like you said, at the end there, that's the fun for me. Is it's like, how exactly are they getting out of this? Because I don't understand how. Like I had a thought, and I ended up being right because of something that happens earlier in that book. Because, and again, you're on the Jackal train. Put yourself in the Jackal's shoes there, where you're like, all right, Cassius, the guy who I have manipulated into being, he doesn't know I've manipulated him. He fully believes that Darrow killed all the children in his family. Yeah. And obviously he knows that Darrow killed 2 of his brothers, because he killed Julian and he killed Karnas at the end of book 2. Mm-hmm. You got Mustang here, who is helpless, and Severo, who is seemingly dead and has been running the whole rebellion in Darrow's absence after he had been kidnapped by the Jackal the first time. Like, if you're the Jackal, you're like, this is my boy. He brought in all the guys I hate. Cool. Life is good. We finally got him after the 2.5 years we've been dealing with. 3 years we've been dealing with rebellion garbage. Yeah. And he already got rid of his own father in the second book, so he's the arch governor of Mars. He's on top, and he's got nuclear warheads pointed at the moon of like, if anything stopped, like even at the end of the book when they do win, he still kills like 30 million people with his nukes. Cause like that was his trump card.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's fair. And I did find enjoyment of how things unfolded. It was a little unexpected. Like, there was still some shock value to me, like how things actually unfold. And it was obviously, I still think the books are 5 out of 5. Like book 3 might be a 6 out of 5 for me. It might be like better than perfect.
Yes. Book 2 and 3 might reach that for me. Dude, Golden Sun is, I like Morning Star. God, Golden Sun's so good though. Oh, yeah. They're both so good.
Yeah. So we can talk about,
we gotta talk about Severo first.
Sure,
you said.
Severo. I was gonna get to that. Like the book is just a lot of really just peak moments. Like
moments and littered with like peak characters too.
Yeah, but really, really fun, like fun, different characters.
Yeah.
There's not like, sometimes you get into these archetypal roles that people have, like it's like the noble protagonist, his plucky friend, and like, the girl who's like, will they, won't they, and then like the snivy little, twerp. Like there's not really that in this book. There's a bunch of really interesting like psychopaths that you have to like read about, people who are insanely narcissistic. Yeah. And like you can honestly allegorize these people into our society and like read them that way. Like I think about how like the girl from Julia who marries Severo, Victra, like how her like what's the word? Her wealth and her like prominence like blinds her to like how people are abused by her literally by her wealth, like the fact that she has other people cannot have. Mm-hmm. Like you just see that so often in society, how people are so like nose blind to it. Like it'll never come up. And it's brought up over and over and over again in this book, and she has a full redemption arc because of that.
I was gonna say, and you see her kind of, being influenced by the people around her, Darrow, Severo, Mustang, of like, like the people around me have influenced my character so much, and like there are people that matter as much, if not more, than just like the wealth that I have that influences other people.
Yeah.
But her sister has the exact opposite. She's
disgusted.
She's a disgusting person, and has even more of an extreme of her own personality once they start fighting Darrow, and Darrow is revealed to have been a red this whole time. So Victra and Antonia, same family, same house, both House Mars, completely opposite. Or no, Victra wasn't House Mars.
No, she wasn't.
She wasn't House Mars, but completely opposite ends of the spectrum as like the story goes on of how the events unfold and how they affect the people around them.
Yeah,
which is just so interesting.
Agreed. Severo,
one of the greatest characters in all of fiction for me so far, of reading fiction, things that I've read. One of the best characters.
I personally put Darrow in that spot for me. Severo,
Darrow and Severo, both of them.
Severo is down the list a little bit for me, but Severo has some. You could tell the author really likes Severo. It's kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy with like Rocket getting his own movie. Basically, James Gunn just really liked Rocket. Yeah. You can just tell, like Severo, the author really liked him.
Favorite Severo moment? Go, because I have mine easy.
The initiation at the beginning of book 3, where he like locks them all in the bathroom and like just this
for him and Victra.
Yeah, for him and Victra to get this weird. And what's the girl's name too? Holiday.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, side tangent. There's another issue I have with his naming conventions in this book. It's not as bad as Rowling's, but like there are certain characters that have like very similar sounding names because they're space names, but like they're completely different people. The two main ones for me were Holiday and another HOL word. Holiday and like...
I can't even think of another one that existed.
But like every time I read Holiday, I kept thinking of the other person. Holiday, she was a part of the Red Rising. She was part of like the Sons of Ares.
Holiday was... No, Harmony is what
Harmony. So like Holiday and Harmony were both like, weird names that like I could not delineate in my brain.
Oh yeah,
I couldn't name one of them Irene or something like that. And then like Victra and Antonia, I could never get it right until like the third book where Victra becomes like a main character.
Oh yeah, I did not have that problem.
And then like a couple other names that just kept popping up over and over again. I was like, who is this? And it just kept like some of his characters are so distinct, and some of them just like completely could be misconstrued between two names, and that bothered me a little bit. So like some of the names. Like I said, that's a small side tangent that I could get over in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, you have to.
That's true.
The book's too good. I'm not going to allow you to disparage.
But yeah, that moment where he's doing the Howler initiation with all of them, and like eventually they like someone opens the door on them, and there's like a bucket of leeches that were eaten.
Yeah,
and it's like, what are y'all doing? Like I remember reading that and like laughing. It was actually really funny. I love how in the third book that Ragnar and him basically just get their own like buddy cop thing, and like they end up doing like their whole rebellion themselves, and like they just it's awesome that like even though Ares, who is just revealed to be it's another plot twist, like that he's been someone we know the whole time, even though he's been this mysterious figure, he's been someone that we know this whole time, and he's freaking Severo's dad. He dies really suddenly at the end of the book. The shoes just get filled again. Like there's there's no power vacuum, and there's no there is a job to be done, and there always will be. So there are always going to be shoes to fill, and Severo immediately fills the shoes.
And crazy that we get to learn that obviously Severo being way past having dedicated himself to Darrow just at the Institute, that we also get to learn that Severo is half red.
Yeah,
which is like so cool.
Yeah.
Easily my favorite Severo moment is in the third book when the Jackal sends a video of him killing Darrow's Uncle Neril. And the Obsidian Queen that they had just brought back, who would have been Ragnar's sister, is like, basically uses that excuse to like, we got to kill all the golds that are here right now, other than the people that are, on our team. Because
basically like they, by the end of the third book, Darrow is outed as a red and like needs as much manpower as possible to actually fight this war. And so his ship is a melting pot of golds, middle class, and like the underclass, and then like a bunch of really yoked like
Yeah.
mountain people.
So that happens, and then Selfie, one of them. She's like, basically like, we got to kill all the golds that are here because they're obviously all going to be problems. And so they're going around starting this basically rebellion with just in-house rebellion, mutiny, I guess. And so Severo gets on, he puts the Ares helmet on, and he's like, how many grays and pinks and other golds has this gold killed? What do we do to killers? And we hang them, and he throws them off the side to be hung. And then Severo is like looking around. He's like, I'm Severo. I'm the son of Ares. I'm a gold. I've killed hundreds of other golds and however many else of other people. And what do we do to killers? And the whole room goes quiet because they're like, we just said we hung him. Throws himself off the balcony to hang himself.
Does a backflip
And hangs himself. And then everyone has to be like, wait a minute. Never mind, cut him down. And and he hangs for a while before everyone figures, dude, I remember I literally stood up while I was reading. I was like, oh my God, he hung himself. That's so sick.
And
that's the most gangster move I've ever seen in my life.
It's a parallel to the same thing that Darrow did in the first book with, I think it was Tactus.
Yes.
He takes his punishment because no one's taking anyone seriously, and they're all having this own interpersonal arguments about all these, who's the leader, who's this, and Darrow makes himself the leader, makes himself the alpha by taking his punishment
because Tactus gets caught either raping or trying to rape one of the prisoners after they had just taken over one of the castles that were there, and he had just had Titus killed for raping prisoners while he wasn't at House Mars. But he knew that he couldn't sustain that kind of punishment. So he has Tactus whipped 20 times by Pax, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Just whoever could do the most amount of damage. And then Darrow gets down, like you said, and he's like, all right, you got to whip me 20 times too. Any punishment anyone here has to face, they make me face it too.
Yeah. And so it's very allegorical. You can see Severo learning from Darrow, and there's this whole chunk of the third book where Severo is trying to not abdicate completely to Darrow once he realizes he's alive and wants to keep control, but Darrow also respects him as a friend and is thankful that he's kept the rebellion alive, but also is dude, you're being way too rash. You need to rein yourself in. And they have this huge fight and this huge argument, and the way the author lays it out, that Darrow is going to become the leader again. Know what's going to happen. But he doesn't.
While you're reading it, you're going, please don't have this is the last book. Please don't have a fallout between the coolest friendship relationship that exists in this book. Because that's a whole other thing you got to deal with on top of the war you're trying to fight. And there's not enough room to deal with all these things.
And it's never that. It's an actual real interpersonal argument, and they come to an agreement, and it's earned.
Yeah.
The end result that is going to happen is earned. It's not just, it doesn't just happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's one of my favorite parts of the book.
Yes, one of my favorite part of the series as a whole. It's remarkable. It almost makes me want to knock down a Golden Sun's score because Golden Sun's ending is terrific. It is awesome. But the entire third book is just it's peak.
It's so good.
It is really, really remarkable. It just keeps you guessing the entire time.
I love the third book. One of the reasons I wanted to get to the third book so bad after I was done with the second one is because I get so attached to fictional people so easily, so fast.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I wanted to get there is I was like, I need to find out what happens with him and Mustang. Obviously he's alive and people are gonna find him, but everybody thinks he's dead at the moment.
Yeah.
And we know that Mustang, while fake, had to seduce Cassius in the second book so he could because she was trying to protect her own family and was basically made herself someone on the inside, on the other side. So Darrow's gone and Cassius still exists. So is she gonna try and go back? And then they're gonna have to deal with that too. I was like, I gotta find out what happens there. And I think the whole book does a really good job of making it pretty obvious once they find themselves in each other's lives again, that they're not immediately romantic again, because the end of book 2 is like Mustang finally finds out that he had been a red this whole time, and maybe he doesn't have the interest of everyone at heart. Okay, let me actually sidebar. The ending of book 2, obviously with his triumph and like Fitchner being dead and Roke betraying him. We haven't even talked about Roke. Roke betraying him is like really cool. I think the better part is right before that when he tries to take Mustang. He does take Mustang to Lycos and is like,
yeah,
this is my home. Here's the hollow of me being turned into a red. You can come inside if you're okay with this once you finish the video. And if not, you can leave. She doesn't go on the ship because Severo's tracking the ship, but she stays behind and confronts Darrow's like, look, you've been a red this whole time. I don't know if I can trust you anymore. And Darrow's like, you know that this system is broken because we've talked about it at length about how the system is broken. And like, this isn't going to work. Like the way the system currently isn't going to work. And Mustang's like, you're talking about, killing my father and, the whole rest of my family. And Darrow's like, your dad is a problem and is part of the enemy. And Ragnar, the Obsidian, who Darrow had to also tell he was a red earlier to like make him trust him, not just because he's a gold, but because Ragnar believes in him.
Yeah.
Ragnar steps up and Mustang's like, oh, and look at this monster you've created. And, we'll show you. He's about to show you how the system like just is the way it is. And then even Ragnar gets on his knees in front of Mustang with Darrow and is like, Darrow is important. And he's right. If you can't see that this is a problem, if you can't be turned, then no gold can. So you might as well, and like Darrow said, you might as well kill Darrow anyway, because, if you're not going to turn around on the way that society uplifts golds and everything, then no one is going to. Literally no one. She's like the embodiment. She's the new AO essentially.
And she's the most intelligent, I think, in the
Easily.
entire book. So like she's the one who can clearly see the holes in the society, and like she can always see the plight. She always can, but she knows her place. Like she knows that like despite all that, like she will always be like second or third in line. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And she knows that her brother is crazy, wicked, psychopathic, evil. She knows her dad is like ruthless and not caring and nose blind. You know what I mean? So she knows all this, and I think she like quickly recognizes, well, I can live a comfortable life for myself. There's nothing I can really do. And then and again, kind of what we were talking about earlier with like challenging herself and like change is hard. Like she knows that things need to change, but the changing process is going to be so hard and so difficult and cost so much that she doesn't know how to move forward with it. And like, obviously she knows if she puts her full trust in someone who couldn't even be transparent with her in the first place, yeah. There's so much to it.
And then you even see in the third book, because everyone thinks that Darrow's been dead for like a little over a year because he's been captive for so long by the Jackal. They're like, when he gets saved and they go to make that infiltration for to go find Quicksilver, that like super rich dude, and they walk in on that meeting of Quicksilver and Mustang and Cassius and all the people they're trying to make like a bargain to end the war. And like Mustang is only there and like because like too many people are dying and she just like she needs the war to end. And like obviously none of them would be there had Darrow been alive, quote unquote alive, and been there because she would have come back.
Yeah.
And been like, and then she proves pretty quickly that she's gonna be on their side for this war. But like she wants that truce, and then the second she realizes Darrow's alive, she's like, Orion's alive and the Pax is alive and everyone you still know is alive. And Darrow's like, what? Like, are there prisoners? And she's like, prisoners? No, they're my crew. They're my folks. Come back.
Yeah.
So like immediately she's like, great, we're back. Let's fight some more.
Yeah. Like
pretty quickly. God, she's such a good character too. All the characters in the book all these books are written so well. Ragnar's really up there for me. Ragnar's such a good character.
It went from a complete nothing burger to me. I'm like, why are we so
he showed up
in
in Golden Sun, and I was like, this dude with like white, that's like this huge white braid and like this 8-foot tall obsidian. I was like, cool. That seems like a big Hulk good of a dude. He'll be good to have on the battlefield. And like I said, by the end of book 2, him being on his knees with Darrow, which Obsidians don't do.
Yeah.
Ever, especially alongside the person that they are swearing to protect, which he's sworn to protect Darrow, and just gets on his knees with him. It's oh my god, so cool.
It's dope. It is it's a really cool thing. It's like having like an ultimate. It is kind of like having like an ultimate weapon, like because like of how the Obsidians are like bred and everything. Anyways, we don't have to get into all that. It's also a testament to how good his world building is. There's like very little holes in logic. There's no like, well, how could they like, you know, like the everything seems very real. There's very little fantastical elements aside from like the space travel, which you can make the logical like leap to understand that.
It's definitely close. I would say it's definitely closer to science fiction than fantasy. It's definitely a blend of the two.
And what I'm trying to get at is that the decisions that characters make are grounded in reality.
Right.
There's no like wild, you know, like left turns as far as like, you know, betrayals. Like, betrayals make sense, and like they follow a line of logic. What I'm trying to get at. Rogue became less interesting to me over time. I think in the first 2 books, I was like, Rogue is the dude. And then like he was gone for a while, and then he came back, and he was just kind of like pure evil. Not evil, but just like purely gold. And I was like, okay, I kind of just want this guy to be dead.
See,
but
I think that's what's so interesting is because like he's like such a brother to Darrow, basically all the way up until like 70% of the way through book 2. Because it's earlier than that Rogue decides that like he doesn't want to be on Darrow's side anymore because too many people are dying. Too many people that he loves keep dying. But like, I think it's such a good testament to like, you can love the person, but like some people are not going to be capable of change. Like if anyone other than Mustang and Severo were going to be capable of like turning their back on gold society and being a part of his like rebellion for, you know, Reds to rise up and all classes to become equal, Rogue would have been number 3 on that list for me. From meeting him to how close he was with Darrow to how much of a brother he considered Darrow. Like he would have been 3rd on my list of people I would be like, oh yeah, he would be on Darrow's side because like Darrow has proven how good of a person he is, regardless of the fact that he is a Red by blood and by birth. So like, but some people, whether you want to call it, you know, a parallel of classism, racism, whatever, are like, no, this is the way it is.
Yeah,
I am better, and you were faking it this whole time. So therefore, I don't like you anymore because the society means more to me.
Yeah,
the way me getting to stay on top means more to me. So like, yeah, by book 3, I'm like, dude, oh, you were doing so well, but I don't like you anymore.
I'll qualify that with we were talking about it being grounded in reality. I was reading this morning in this book called High Conflict. But it's a story from real life. It was in Montgomery, Alabama, I think. The county made a really beautiful park, and this is like in the 30s, 40s. A big pool, you know, large area for walking, some tennis courts, and some other stuff. A large investment of money and funds from the county. And it was delegated as whites only. Only white people were allowed to swim and be in the park. And however, taxes were generated by the whole county regardless. So black people, from their taxes, from their already piss poor, unlivable wages at that time period, funded the whites only park. So not in any kind of protest, not in any kind of weird thing. This black gentleman, I can remember his name right now, took a shortcut through the park on his way home from work and got arrested and sued the Parks Administration, or the Parks Association. What do you want to call it?
Yeah, the Parks and Rec.
Yeah, Parks and Rec. Thank you. You know, and was like, you know, blah, blah, blah. and the court sided with him, right? That he was not doing anything illegal, and the park should be opened up to everyone. This is like in the 40s, right? This was just like the letter of the law. Basically says no, they should be able to walk there, and instead of unsegregating the park, they closed it. They cemented the pool. They closed the tennis courts, and they said, we will have a white society or we will not have, and so like when you read stuff like that happening in real life, and then you read something like Roke's obstinance or, Victra's like nose blindness in the book, you really get a full picture. And I love an author who knows his stuff, knows things can be grounded and can make these books about, race and class not so heavy-fisted. You know what I mean? Like there's sometimes where these like they can sound so preachy and so
right.
But it never comes across that way in this book. Like I can't think of a single time where I'm like rolling my eyes. Like everything seems real.
Yeah, I one of my favorite things in the book is the difference between Roke and Victra, where Roke is like just so nice, and he's like, oh, he's loyal to the people around him and the people that love him. And then eventually it's like, oh no, he's just loyal to society. Yeah. The people that he loves and that he's around are just also on the same level as him in society. And then you have Victra, who's like snotty and like knows that she's the most beautiful person in the room and like, uses that to her advantage.
Incredibly prideful.
Like, yeah. And then it's like, but she cares more about the people around her and the people that love her and that she loves more than she does about the society that has made her this way.
And it's always surprising when that's revealed. Like whenever she does something that actually proves that she's...
It's just so interesting how, like, it seems like they both have a very clear path, but they cross paths and they change which one you thought was going to have the other's destination.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is just so cool.
Yeah. I that's a really cool decision. And I never would have put them in parallels like that before, but that's a really cool... Yeah, that's really cool.
It was so good. There's so much more to talk about. However, I shouldn't say however. We can talk as long as you want to talk. I don't care.
Let's talk about the combat and the armor and like the sling blade and all that kind of stuff. I found that to be pretty cool, pretty novel, I will say as well.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a lightsaber and like a whip kind of situation.
Yeah, like
you kind of make it multiple different shapes. And we'll say it took me a while to get the image in my head of what he was actually trying to convey.
Yeah.
But I got there eventually. And I think that like the Iron Man armor kind of stuff that they have going on is also really cool. And like it's also really visually like stimulating to me, to where that I think this could be this could be a very entertaining series, animated series, movie. Kind of thing.
I very rarely say this, especially when it comes to stuff like this. I don't want this to be animated whenever it gets made.
It will never get made, but
he's talked quite a few times with quite a few different studios of having it made. Same way that like Brandon Sanderson has with Mistborn, but Brandon Sanderson has finally found a way to make it happen. Pierce Brown, it was just like a few months ago that he was like on the verge of getting a deal struck, but then was like something in the deal was like ended up being non-negotiable on both sides. But he's had multiple negotiations with multiple different studios of getting this thing made.
It's just so expensive.
For sure.
This story is going to be exorbitantly expensive. Even if they just stop after book 3. I know they won't, but if they stop after book 3, like that is like millions and millions of dollars that's not guaranteed to come back to you. Even though this series is immensely popular, I don't think it will be as like profitable as like I don't know. I have full faith in it. I will watch the crap out of it.
Not as profitable, I don't think, but I think it would do very well, either as movies or a TV show, to be honest. I think they would make good movies. And I also very rarely say that. I usually want to see a series of things, but I think they would make good 2.5-hour movies.
Okay. I'm leaning more towards the animated series, only because the special effects would need to be top notch in order to make the size difference between the characters seem realistic and cool.
True.
And like the gravity of the fight scenes seemingly real, and the space travel. I think that's all going to be super expensive to make live CG.
That's why I think if live action, it should be movies. Because, things can happen a little faster, and so you can, things would cost less money. Stuff like that.
Could be.
Um,
I think if they did it live action, they would have to like severely limit the the original vision of what he wanted the characters to look like. Because I feel like you're gonna cast someone like Tom Holland or whatever to play Darrow. Like you're just not like, you know what I mean? Like you're not gonna cast a nobody to play that character. Like you're gonna cast someone who's already a well-known face who is not 7 feet tall.
I don't know. I feel like because I think because the series has gotten so much traction again these last few years, and I mean, it would depend on when this hypothetical movie or series actually came out. But the last book in the overall series hasn't even come out yet. So like,
yeah,
if it's still like a hot button topic when it's time to reveal that he's got a deal somewhere, like I feel like you could just cast good actors that come in. I don't need big names. Maybe
that's just overly optimistic. That just won't happen.
I know, but I want it to happen.
Yeah,
so bad. Like you can give me main characters that aren't top names, but give me like, I guess almost similar to the way that they have cast a new Harry Potter
my phone
series. Oh, I got interrupted. Everyone, let it be known, Jacob hates me, and his ringtone is awful.
It's just my alarm for brushing my teeth.
Oh, his brush his teeth alarm is awful too.
I apologize for the interruption.
But like similar to the way Harry Potter has just cast there, like obviously you don't know who these kids are because they're children, but like John Lithgow is Dumbledore. He's big name John Lithgow.
Sure.
So like you can give me someone, I don't know, someone like big to play, and someone like Dancer or Uncle Neril or whatever. These sort of like roles that will pop in a little bit, but not be like, or Fitchner or whatever, but not be just on screen the whole time.
Here's my thoughts on live action versus animation as well, as far as logistics are concerned. If you hire an all-star voice cast, they can record from their living rooms if they want to. If you hire an all-star cast for the live action versions, they're going to be in contract for a decade to film this series, and it may not meet funding, it may not, all this stuff, and it would just be like it'd be like an Avengers level logistical nightmare as far as scheduling for actors would go. Mm-hmm. And I think that would hinder your talent, that would hinder a lot of things. Whereas voice acting, like again, like with animation series, I think I can see the vision of like how the sling blade forms and moves and whips, and how the iron rain happens. Like this, like I can see it from like the atmosphere, like how they're like, I can see that in animation, in a well done animation, and I can really sink my teeth. Even if it was like a Fortiche, like 3D animation, kind of like Arcane, like that would be obviously stellar. Like that would be awesome.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'd watch the crap out of that. I watch the crap out of anything. If and when they make this, I'm watching it. Yeah. Unless they cast Tom Holland as Darrow. I love Tom Holland, but he ain't Darrow. If that somehow happens,
so
I won't.
That was just my first.
I know,
jest.
But I also realize that is a real possibility, technically and unfortunately.
That wouldn't happen.
If that happened, I straight up, I don't think I would watch it. Because I'm petty.
You're petty, huh?
Mm-hmm. I love Tom Holland. He's great. He's been in some good things.
He's not Darrow.
He's not Darrow. He could be Severo if he wants to be.
Honestly, it wouldn't be that bad. He could do a backflip.
He's not crazy enough. I don't think he could do crazy the way that Severo's crazy.
You never know. He's going to be in the Odyssey.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that movie.
I am too. I don't know. I can't tell if I think it's actually going to be good.
Either way, it's just going to be.
It's going to be a spectacle.
Yeah, it's going to be a spectacle.
And I will be seated.
Okay. Is there anything else that we need to talk about from these books? I'm sure there's other stuff that we're glossing over. We haven't really talked about Golden Sun that much.
I mean, Golden Sun. You've got Golden Sun is so good. It really sets the stage. Like I keep saying set the stage. Red Rising does a good job of setting the overall stage. But Golden Sun is like...
It's when Darrow gets to really do his undercover stuff.
Yeah, like he falls and he comes back up so quickly. and he's basically starting the war. He's trying to get Rogue back on his side because now Rogue has lost 2 of his lovers between Lee and Quinn, between the first and second books. And him having to duel Cassius and getting Mustang back. Like we talked about, learning that Fitchner was Ares the whole time, learning that Severo is half red. Him having to admit to Severo before all that he is a red, because he knows that Severo knows, and if he doesn't just go ahead and tell the truth, Severo's gone. He's gonna leave.
Yeah,
which is so good because Severo knows from the first book, because Darrow slips and uses some like red slang, and has Severo edit the video, and he like notices that Severo edited out the part where Darrow used red slang. He's like, did he actually see?
Yeah.
Does he know? Was that on accident? Gold. What else? What else do you want to talk about in Golden Sun? Because there's a lot that happens.
The Iron Rain is the main thing.
Yeah.
Like the Iron Rain is like one of the coolest parts of the book. And I think the Golden Sun is the most interesting as far as like what Darrow is actually doing undercover. Like he's actually infiltrated like Gold Society at this point. He's basically won,
Yeah.
Like he is in there and he has a faction, and he has to kind of pick what he wants to do. Does he want to remain diplomatic, or does he want to start messing people up, start killing people?
Yeah.
And does he want people to stay on his side, or does he want to be a lone wolf? Like that, who does he want to burn bridges with? Who does he want to ally himself with? Who does he want to sleep with? All these things cropping up and like coming around, and like who is trusting him? Who is actually trying to, delete him? Like who is vying for his spot? Who is like all these things are all moving underneath, the spinning plates. Like all these plates are spinning, and you're like it's that interesting. Once he announces he's a red, and once everyone knows he's a red, it's like, okay, now we're sprinting towards the end of the book.
Yeah.
Let's get an army, let's fight. Like that's kind of like what you figure is going to happen. But all the stuff leading up to that is really interesting, and it could have gone a number of ways. And I think that Pierce Brown was really good at picking some of the most interesting.
Yeah,
avenues.
something Darrow does a little in the first book and a lot in the second book is, he's trying to figure out if he's like a bad person for falling in love with Mustang. Because he's like, so much of what I'm doing is on the back of my dead wife. And like, she was who I started doing all this for. And, now he's got some more reasons, because he's seen what society really is. And he's part of the underbelly now. He's got real legitimate reasons that he realizes Ao was afraid of this whole time. But and on top of it, he's like, even during book 2, it's been at least 2.5 to 3 years since his wife died, and was hanged down there. But even all through all book 2, he's like, is it like okay that I'm moving on and doing it with a gold who are the people that I'm trying to overthrow? And I don't technically know if this gold Mustang is going to be fully on my side when she finds out that I'm not a gold. Is it am I wrong? Is she wrong for falling in love with me? Am I doing something bad for lying to her this whole time? Is she his worry of like betraying Mustang and like having lied to her this whole time is like one thing, but him just trying to figure out if he's like even allowed to be loved in general, because all of what he's doing is off the back of someone who already loved him, is like, it's so well written.
Agreed.
Every time that he brings it up in his brain, he's like where he's like, I want to like her, I want to love her so bad, she's so good, she's just such a good person. But so is Ao. So it's like, do I get to love 2 good people in my life? Am I allowed to do that? Am I worthy of getting 2 people like that? It's so good. And then the fact that, his wife was hanged while pregnant, and then at the end he gets a kid with Mustang.
I can't believe I clocked that. The first, because like he gets imprisoned for 9 months and whatever. Like they make a point to say that, and then at the end of book 2, Mustang and him do the hanky panky, and I'm like, I can add 1 + 1. I know if Mustang's alive, she had a baby. and kept it from him the whole time, so that way he wouldn't lose his focus throughout book 3. And then
I love the fact that she brings it up. She's like obviously like you need to keep your focus, but she's like, I also needed to figure out if you were the kind of man that our son needs, or if you were gonna be, after everything you've gone through, if you were gonna be someone else entirely that didn't deserve to,
because again, Mustang is the smartest person in this book somehow. Like despite everyone else being like these tacticians and like ultimate warlords and stuff like that, she's still the smartest. Like, God,
it's so good. And also Cassius going off with Lysander at the end too is so interesting to me, because and I know that's going to come up in these other books of him having Lysander with him, but like now he's just got this kid with him, and goes off on his own. What the heck do you do with a 10-year-old that has been the senator's or the sovereign's grandson, whatever, nephew, whatever he was to her? Like, what do you do with him? You just go off. Because Cassius and Darrow, all them, they're 8 and 20, 21 by the end of this book.
I think they're a little older than that, but regardless.
Oh, because he's what? He's 16 or 17 when Red Rising starts, when he's like in the mines. And then between the end of Red Rising and the start of Golden Sun is like a year and a half or 2 years of him being at the Institute. And Golden Sun happens within, a couple of months time frame.
Oh, okay.
And then he's in captivity for a year. I want to say they're at oldest 22, 23 by the end of book 3.
I thought they specifically mentioned their age and they were much older. I could be wrong.
I'm going to find out in a second. I'm going to look up right now. Hold on. Everyone, we're asking Google. How old is Darrow at the end of Morning Star?
Let's say 26.
Not Daryl. Who's Daryl? Google. He was never called Daryl. Don't say Darrow, who was often called Daryl, just because I wrote Daryl. He was never called that.
I want to say 26.
Here's my big pet peeve with AI.
Oh, really?
It's that right there. When you say something like, I was trying, what did I look up the other day? I was trying to look up something, I think about an ant farm or something, or State Farm. I forget which order it was, but then AI was like, State Farm, who some people also call the Ants Farm, has this blah, blah, blah of insurance, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no one has ever called it that. Just because I asked you that and also wrote insurance and you figured out I meant State Farm doesn't mean that sometimes people call it Ant Farm.
One thing that I love seeing in like copy nowadays, like when you're trying to figure out if something's AI or not, is reading the common ChatGPT phrase. It's not something. It's something. Like that same cadence every single time. It's like, I'm trying to think of like one that I've seen recently. This idea isn't novel. It's yada yada. Like you know what I mean? Like I see that cadence from ChatGPT, and so now like you can't tell if it's people are plagiarizing ChatGPT or if it's just all ChatGPT.
Right.
It's anyways. How old is he?
It seems like he is between 22 and 24.
Okay.
I was trying to go find a quick timeline of the Red Rising on like the Red Rising wiki or whatever, but he is he's 16 at the beginning of Red Rising, from what I'm seeing. Okay. And there's only,
I think my picture, my mind palace, like I think he was 18 when he went to the Red Rising, so that just makes more sense. It makes sense for him to be 18 when he's going into this, but he's 16. So, gotcha.
But yeah, super good.
Remarkable books. If you're still here and you haven't read these books,
how long have we been doing?
100. An hour 30, hour 20.
Hour 30, yeah. So if you're still here and you haven't read these books, why are you still here? Go read them. We spoiled everything at this point. But
and if you've read them and you just enjoyed us talking about them, that's cool.
Great. I'll read the next 4 eventually, and then in like 2.5 years when Jacob finishes them, we'll talk about those too.
Yeah. We could, if you'd like to, maybe recommend a book that the audience could read for a future episode. So like obviously they couldn't know that we're going to talk about Red Rising in this book, and we can recommend them read Red Rising. But if we say, let's say next episode we talk about Project Hail Mary or Lord of the Rings or whatever, we can have them read, or if they have read that book, they can listen to that episode with impunity and not worry about getting spoiled or anything like that. Does that sound good?
Sure.
What book do you think we should do next?
I have no idea because I haven't thought about this before of like what we're going to read next. So we know that we're going to talk about Project Hail Mary the next time we talk.
Okay.
So that is for anyone who hasn't read that, or go watch the movie at the very least.
Yeah, we can talk about
You can at least go. You can at least listen to what we missed from the book or something that we wish had been in the movie. Because I have some thoughts. Okay. How about for now we just give a book recommendation just in general?
Sure. So Project Hail Mary is what the next episode will be on. If you want to like follow along with us, like our little reading list, what we're gonna talk about next. So Project Hail Mary is next, and then as far as book recs,
I have so many. Hold on. I'm gonna tell you how many books I've read this year.
Okay. I think I'm on 7.
I probably won't recommend one of these, just because I have other ones. The one I finished today was my 20th of the year.
Great googly moogly, Kyle. That's a lot of books.
I read a lot, and it would have been more if I had read some more in March and I wasn't waiting on you. Whatever. But yeah, I read today was the 20th one.
I think I'm on 7.
I read 15 last year, and I was like, I felt pretty good about 15. And for whatever reason this year, I've just been mowing through them happily.
My book recommendation is Slaughterhouse 5. That
was one I've been meaning to get and read. Because you and David both, shout out again, David, have been because it's his favorite book, or like really high up there for him.
It's my favorite book.
Did he have did David, you're listening, do you have a tattoo of a Slaughterhouse 5? Didn't he show us a tattoo that he had regarding Slaughterhouse 5? Something about some quote that's very important in it, or maybe it was like some symbol, or maybe I'm wrong entirely. I just remember you two talking about it.
Maybe he did, but I don't remember.
Very happily. I'll have to ask him later.
Yeah.
But you both love it, and it's on my list of things to read. And I have at Christmas our family always does Elfster, where you can see what other people are wanting, and that's on my list of things that I want. And I was actually kind of hoping someone would get that for me for my birthday. I got a bunch of other things I wanted, which is very nice. But I was like, that was going to be next on my list if I was gifted it. But I'm going to get it soon. I intend to read it this year, just because you both gave it such high praise.
It's such a weird book.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. It's really good. Highly recommend. We'll probably talk about it on the podcast at some point. So Slaughterhouse 5.
Yeah, I'll probably read it soon. Cool. In the next few months.
I can also just let you borrow my copy if you want.
Yeah, but then I gotta buy a copy when I'm done, because I have to have copies of books I've read, and then it's gonna really bug me that the copy I have is not the copy I read. Well,
then you can just have that copy and give me the copy you buy. Didn't we already do this with Project Hail Mary?
But then you get a new book. But no, with Project Hail Mary, I bought 2 new copies. Because I bought a copy for you for Christmas. Because you had listened to the audiobook.
And then I wanted the physical copy.
You wanted the physical copy, and I bought it for you.
And then I lent it to
you. You wanted me to read. You were like, you're going to read this at some point, right? And I was like, yeah, I really want to read it. And you were like, just read this one. And I was like, okay, so I read that one. But then I needed a copy for myself. So it was going to bother me if I didn't give you the copy that I had initially intended for you. But because I read that copy, it was going to bother me if I didn't own the copy that I read. And that was going to bother me more than you not having the copy I initially intended for you. So the second copy I bought, I gave you that copy, and I kept the copy that I read. But in this scenario, you already have the copy. And then if I take it, I'd have to give it back to you and get my copy, but it wouldn't have been a copy I read. But I'm also not going to take your book, read it, and then keep it as my book and give you the new book, because I want the new book. I want to smell the new book, and I want the crinkles in the page to be the crinkles that I put there on the spine.
All right.
I'm very weird about my books.
No, that's not weird.
You know what I want? I keep getting these ads for like these page embosser things. You can get them like custom made to where like you press it on the page and it indents parts of it to say like Library of Kyle or whatever. It has a cool symbol on it. Those are dumb, but they're so cool to me. I want one on the inside of every page, not every page, every first page of every book that I own. Which is stupid, but I think it's really cool.
I don't think it's stupid. I think it's a cool thing.
I need to give a book rec. I will recommend Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. Oh. It's one of his standalones in the Cosmere. I would say Mistborn, but you need the whole trilogy if you're going to read Mistborn, and I'm going to stick it to one book for now. So I'll say Elantris. One of his standalones. For some reason, some people in the whole Cosmere community I think it's a little bit divisive. Some people really like it, some people don't. I thought it was a fantastic book. I think it's so well written. Introduces such a really interesting magic system, and like a magic system that's broken for some reason. No one knows why it broke. It's so interesting. That's my rec. Cool. Very high fantasy. If you know who Brandon Sanderson is, obviously it's high fantasy. Yep. Yes, Elantris. And then I was gonna say something else. I don't remember, so I'm gonna shut up.
Okay.
What do you have, Jacob?
I don't think I have anything else. I think this was a fun little ep.
We talked for so much longer than I thought we were going to.
No, I figured if we're gonna talk about 3 books, we're gonna talk for a while.
Well, you're smarter than I am, I guess.
Really?
No, I'm cutting that out of the episode, actually.
All right.
I don't want that on record of me having ever said that.
Shucks. See you guys next time.
Bye.